Today we were treated to 3 brand new episodes of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, those episodes being called Secret Identity Crisis, hitting the big time in the Unicorn Unleashed. So let's talk about them all in one video, because we're crazy like that and we're gonna have fun. Excuse me if, like last week, I'm kind of all over the place and talking about events out of order across the episodes. Despite them not releasing in the order that I speak about the certain events, it's fine. You watched them all, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to apologize for absolutely everything, right? Like, we'll figure it out, it's fine. So our first episode of the day is very Norman Osborn centric. We get that tale that we had from Spider-Man Homecoming and Civil War through Tony Stark recruiting Peter, however through the lens of Norman Osborn in this universe, and it is a very interesting tale thus far. It's hard for me not to correlate it with the Tom Holland movies and just think, man, what if this was the movie we got? And kind of placing myself into a reality where this is the timeline or the series of events that our MCU Spider-Man went against or went through. I don't know why I said against. You know what I mean? It's early while I'm recording this. Cut me some slack. Like the dinner scene, for example, towards the beginning of the episode where Norman is having this one-on-one and Peter has to come out and be like, you know what? Yeah, I am Spider-Man. And hearing the reasoning behind why Norman Osborn set up these interns to figure out who is working for Spider-Man, who might be Spider-Man. It all has that Norman Osborn aura, as we like to say. But in the back of my mind, I'm just like, man, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop when he's going to show his true colors. But the more the conversation goes on, he's like, no, I just want to help you. I need to help the guy who saved my kid. Because if you remember in the first or second episode, I forget, Spider-Man saved Harry. And that was kind of the jumping off point, presumably, or at least that's what Norman wants us to believe, is why he's so determined to help Spider-Man. I keep thinking, man, what's the actual reason? Because we know from other interpretations, Norman can be quite manipulative and pulling the strings to put things where he wants it to be. We don't know what that ulterior motive could be in this universe, but it is interesting that there is an element to this show being an alternate universe that maybe this time Norman is genuinely a good guy who wants to help. Now, I do think that Nico having her reservations about the guy is letting the audience know it's going to eventually go down the path that Norman always goes down, but I do like that seed of doubt the writers could put there. Due to this being an alternate reality and us seeing other canon events from Spider-Man go left, that we don't fully know. Maybe he won't go Goblin. And that's the kind of thing that makes it fresh and fun for longtime Spider-Man fans like me. I'm sorry, I like it. Kind of playing off that whole thing of not knowing whether or not Norman will be good or not going forward. I think a scene that really illustrates this and the conflict of where I'm thinking about his character would be the fight sequence between, I believe, what was Speed Demon and Tarantula, or this show's interpretation of those characters. As Peter's fighting them and struggling, we hear Norman come through his speaker, like in his mask, and Norman explains that he hacked into his suit, and Peter's like, that's kind of creepy, but okay, let's do it. And we kind of gloss over that. I do think that's a little weird. Like, Tony probably would do that. I was gonna say he wouldn't do that. No, Tony would definitely do that. I think he has done it, right? Didn't he do that in Homecoming or something? So I don't know. We'll figure out what's happening with Norman down the road. But I don't know. I don't fully trust him yet. But there is a part of me that's like, what if he's actually good this time around? I don't know. Oh man, a plot line that was just spectacular, no pun intended, across these 3 episodes that I gave heavy praise to last week. I gotta give it its flowers once again. Lordy. This episode starts Lonnie Lincoln on his path to becoming Tombstone, which is insane. I did not think we were going to tackle that in the first season. I thought that would be a slow burn thing. It still is a slow burn thing, but the way that they're tackling it is nowhere near the path that I thought that they were going to go, and I'm really a big fan of it thus far. He's still the sweet kid. He still cares about his family and his friends, but you can see how much he loves them, and it's just sad that it turns him down this not ideal spot where he has to get his brother out of a situation and take the place of him in a certain gang that his little brother finds himself caught up in. I'm sure you can find some comic references in relation to this gang and the rival gang and Mac Gargan and all this stuff. I'm not going to get into all of it, but I'll let you dig there and find some cool little Easter eggs and where that could potentially be going. But if it's going the direction that I think it's going, oh man, that's going to be one of my favorite plot lines in the show. I did find myself at times being like, dang, am I liking Lonnie's stuff more than Peter's? And that's not a shot at Peter. I love Peter's stuff a lot. It's just a testament to how good the writing is across the board for all the characters and not just Spider-Man. again. So it's a good thing. I'm not saying that as a critique. I think that was awesome. Wait, I'm looking back. So episode 3 is called Secret Identity Crisis, but we get the suits that are referencing the comic book Identity Crisis storyline in the next episode, which is called Hitting the Big Time. Yet Hitting the Big Time doesn't have a reference to the Big Time suit. Did I see that right? That's kind of weird. Anyway, yeah, episode 4 actually brings up 3 out of 4, if I'm not mistaken. 3 out of the 4 suits from the Identity Crisis comic book storyline that was across the Amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker Spider-Man, Sensational Spider-Man, and the Spectacular Spider-Man, where Peter gets framed for something, or Spider-Man does, I guess, and he has to come up with 4 different identities, and the suits that he wears in those identities are in this episode. But the context here is that Norman Osborn wants to give Peter a new suit, and the suits come in the form of the suits that he wore in those comics. Really cool reference. I think that was a really cool way to incorporate that in a Spider-Man show. They're suits we've absolutely never seen before on the screen in any capacity, but I don't feel that they would ever tackle that storyline. So this is the best they could do, and I think they did a good job. It was awesome. Building out the what-if scenarios from the MCU, which I thought it was sick. They're incorporating the ramifications of the Sokovia Accords and how the show will address that, with Spider-Man not being directly involved in the battle at the airport and all that stuff. So that's going to be cool, seeing how that lingers throughout the story of the show moving forward. It's sick. I know some people are going to look at this and be like, no, this is what Tom Holland should have been. This is exactly what the movie should have been. In some regards, I think it would have been cool to see that. You know, I think there are some elements in this show that I'm like, yeah, I kind of wish this was one of those movies, but what happened happened, and we're getting a version of it now. So we have both. We're fine. We can breathe. So no need to fight, please. let's just calm down and enjoy it. But they even got it down to the point of him being a Cap fan and being on Cap's side, and I'm like, yeah, that does feel like Peter. Okay, anyway, I'm done with the parallels. Back to the suits real quick. So they finally land on a suit after, testing the other ones out, and Peter's like, yeah, none of this is really me, and Osborn's like, you're right, it's not you. This one is. And it's the Future Foundation suit recontextualized to be an Oscorp suit here. I know we talked about the discourse around that. Here's the thing. I let my mind wander away from it. It looks more blue and white with the black eyes and the red belt. It adds things to it that makes it stand apart from the traditional Future Foundation suit, to where I can be like, yeah, I mean, it looks like it, but it's not exactly, because it has these different things added onto it, just like Spidey has more duplicates of suits that look alike, but they serve different purposes. So I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna say it's not the Future Foundation suit. I don't know, I'm coping. I know. It's large amounts of cope, but let me do it. Please, I need to survive. I'm exaggerating. It didn't bother me that bad. I know it did kind of rub me the wrong way a few weeks ago when we initially saw it. I'm kind of getting over it. I still would have liked to see an actual Oscorp suit or something new, instead of using an existing suit and recontextualizing its origins, but what can you do? It's fine. It's like a little reference, I guess. We also got to meet some of the adversaries of this episode. I wrote down some of the names, so we definitely got like Dimitri, which we know where that's going. I think we got hints at the Rhino. You're at the tracksuits name dropped. I'm definitely missing a few names here. I wrote down a few, and others I kind of missed. I didn't want to keep rewinding and catch everything, because again, I want you to pick up on some stuff. But the big reveal at the end of the episode, aside from Harry finding out that Peter is Spider-Man, we'll see where that goes down the road. The big reveal was Otto Octavius is the one behind a lot of these villains that Peter's been facing, because we've seen a correlation from like Butane and Tarantula and Speed Demon, the little logos on their equipment. Yeah, that links back to Otto Octavius, who was revealed at the end of the episode. And it's funny, I was thinking about him because I was like, I remember them showing him off at Comic-Con, but will he be in this season? And sure enough, boom. Out of nowhere. It was crazy. So the following episode, episode 5, introduces us to the idea of the Peter Parker and Harry Osborn friendship, which I wasn't sure how they were going to loop that back around with Nico being the friend and everything, but it seems like this friendship is getting in the way of the friendship of Nico and Peter and adding a strain there, giving us some drama. In the comics and previous iterations, Spider-Man is the wedge between Peter and Harry being friends. This time, it's what brings them together. What a great twist. Yeah, it's different. And I could be like, You're changing up everything. Like, it's different, but it works. It didn't irk me at all. They're doing a good job, not just subverting expectations to make it shocking and like, oh, I'm better than the source material, but it seems to actually serve a purpose here, and it seems carefully crafted by people who care. So I can rock with it. I'm cool. I ain't got no problems, bro. I like it. We get to see more and more how joining this gang to protect his brother is affecting Lonnie throughout the episode. He's missing football practice. His life is falling apart, similar to how Peter's is whenever Spider-Man gets in the way. And it's through the lens of like, again, just like the pizza episode, it doesn't paint everybody out to be a villain. It's just showing their circumstances, how they fall on hard times, what they have to do to get by. And not all of it is peachy keen. Of course, some of the people in there don't have the best of hearts or intentions. But again, not everybody in that situation is just like rotten to the core evil. It's just how they live and what they have to do to navigate life. And it's just a product of where they live, how they live, and the system around them. By the end of the episode, there is a confrontation against the rival gang that has a lot of comic booky stuff in it that I don't want to spoil. You check it out. I'm sorry, that was too cool for me to even say. You're gonna love it in the show. But as a result of their confrontation, and after Lonnie does something to quote-unquote prove his loyalty to Big Don, they're like, oh yeah, we trust him now. And Big Don has been calling Lonnie, I think, Superstar. I could be wrong about that, but I think it was Superstar he was calling him the whole time. Lonnie was like, I don't like that. And then they were like, oh, well, the way you tackle that, dude, we should call you like Graveyard. And he's like, no, we should call him Tombstone. And Lonnie's like, I like that. And I'm like, I don't. Like, please, no, it's too early. I don't want to lose you. Please. So it's official. He's becoming Tombstone, and these are the first steps to get there. No Fantastic Four. I like that trailer a lot, by the way. Trailer is fire. I feel like I'm missing so much. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. If I did miss some stuff, I'll just mention it in next week's episode reviews, but I do want to clean up here at the end with some Easter eggs and references that I caught. Oh, never mind. I'm lying. Everything I wrote down here is the stuff I said I was going to save for you to actually watch and figure out for yourself so that you had some knickknacks when you watch the show. Never mind. Disregard what I just said. Never mind. One thing I will talk about, though, I meant to mention this earlier because it was in the previous episodes. Uncle Ben's influence is felt throughout this whole thing. I know people complained about the fact that he was gone before Peter got bitten by the spider, but I feel like he still weighs on this family in such a nice way in terms of the lessons that he instilled in Peter and the memories that he left behind for May. And he is a constant through line still. Again, way more than he was in the MCU, and the fact that it was before he became Spider-Man and he still influenced Peter this much. Again, while different, it's classic. And they did such a good job handling that character thus far. And we haven't even seen him. We don't know what he looks like. We don't know what he sounded like. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they showed him in a picture or something, but I don't think we have. Feel free to correct me in the comments. But yeah, after this, we're halfway through the season. I think it's safe to say I'm fully on board. I'm a fan of the show. I like what they're doing, and I'm excited to see what comes next. Leave a comment down below to let me know how you felt about episodes 3 through 5 of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. We'll have a whole conversation about it. You guys be safe, drink water, and be friendly in your neighborhood. Okay, that didn't work. I gotta figure out an outro or something at some point. You know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna figure out an outro. We keep it real here. Get out of my face. I'm kidding. I love you guys. Take it easy. Catch you in the next one. Oh, Unicorn is the villain for episode 5, by the way. I don't know. I just felt wrong not mentioning that. That's who he fought. Okay, bye.